This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what you need to know today. Armenia's top diplomat has accused Azerbaijan of creating artificial obstacles as years-long efforts to reach a normalization deal appear to remain stalled. We can complete a peace treaty with Azerbaijan within a month by working quickly and intensively, but I cannot say that this proposal received a positive reaction. On the contrary, we see, and I can say this with certainty, that new artificial obstacles are sometimes created to prolong the process, Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan told reporters yesterday. But, Mirzoyan added, we continue to believe that there is indeed a historic opportunity to establish lasting peace in our region. As before, Armenia continues to take a very constructive position and engage in this issue. There was no immediate reaction from Baku. Mirzoyan was speaking yesterday in Tbilisi, where he met with his Georgian counterpart and other senior officials, including the Prime Minister. It marked his first trip to Georgia since Yerevan and Tbilisi signed a landmark strategic partnership agreement in January. Significantly, Mirzoyan also made a point of telling reporters how enthusiastically Armenia received the news of Georgia receiving candidate status for EU membership last December. Despite that, Georgia's passage of a controversial foreign agents law in May has now de facto led to a halt of the accession process, European leaders indicated last week. For his part, Georgian Foreign Minister Ilya Darchiashvili spoke of fresh momentum to cooperation across various fields with Armenia. He did not elaborate. Armenia will receive nearly $11 million in military aid from the European Union this year after bloc member Hungary lifted its veto, Radio Azatutyun, RFERL's Armenian service, reported today, citing unnamed diplomatic sources. All EU member states are now ready to give the green light, and it is expected that the package will be approved first on July 17th by the member states' ambassadors, and then on July 22nd by the foreign ministers, Radio Azatutyun reported. CivilNet has not independently verified that news. Earlier this year, Armenia formally asked the EU to add it to the European Peace Facility, a funding instrument that provides military aid to non-member countries, including Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine. But that has still not happened, reportedly due to opposition by Hungary. In April, Radio Azatutyun broke the news that it was Hungary blocking the EU from dispersing a first-ever batch of military aid to Armenia. EU rules require unanimous approval from all of the bloc's 27 countries. There was no immediate comment from Yerevan, Budapest, or Brussels. In other normalization news, Armenia's prime minister has indicated he greatly values U.S. efforts to encourage a deal with Azerbaijan. Armenia greatly values the role of the United States in the peace-building process in our region and deeply appreciates U.S. support for the sovereignty, independence, democracy, territorial integrity, and inviolability of the borders of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan wrote in a letter today to President Joe Biden to mark the July 4th holiday. Meanwhile, a high-level bipartisan congressional delegation continued their visit to Armenia, meeting yesterday with local civil society activists and Armenians forcibly displaced from their homes in Nagorno-Karabakh last September. Earlier, the delegation, led by members of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and the U.S. Helsinki Commission, held talks with Pashinyan, Mirzoyan, and other senior Armenian officials. They also visited the genocide memorial at Tsitsernakaberd. In a historic move last month, Yerevan and Washington agreed to upgrade their relations to a strategic partnership, a deeper and more comprehensive form of cooperation. That came as Armenia's ties with Russia, its historic ally and security guarantor, continue to fray. Since the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war, anger and frustration have mounted in Yerevan over what is seen as Moscow's unwillingness or inability to come to Armenia's defense in line with its treaty obligations. Nonetheless, a senior Russian diplomat insisted yesterday that the Kremlin continues to consider Armenia its ally. We proceed from the fact that Armenia is our ally, and we proceed from the fact that we have very positive economic relations, Deputy Foreign Minister Alexei Overchuk told reporters. You can also take a look at the latest episode of CivilNet's Weekly Insight series. This week, host Eric Hakopian breaks down recent comments by Armenia's security chief laying blame squarely on Russia for last year's fall of Nagorno-Karabakh, and what that may mean for Armenia's geopolitical alignment moving forward. You can find the full broadcast up now on civilnet.am or through the link in the video description below. You can also check out our latest interview with renowned historian and scholar Ronald Grigoryan, who joined us this week to review the state of the region and discuss Armenia's mounting domestic and foreign challenges. Did Russia betray Armenia? Has the United States bitten off more than it can chew? All that and more up now on civilnet.am or through the link in the video description below. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 124,000. That's the amount of financial support in dollars that Pashinyan's cabinet earmarked today for families and individuals impacted by historic flooding across northern Armenia in May. Days of strong rainstorms caused rivers to overflow their banks, sweeping away bridges and roads, inundating nearby communities, and killing at least 4 people. Cleanup efforts continue. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.